Hey all, one of the reasons I'm heading to 60 years old but I feel fantastic is because I eat my Homo sapiens ancestral superfood, which is of course meat. But it's a very controversial thing nowadays, so I'm going to re-upload here the 15-minute excellent talk given by Brian Sanders of Food Lies, and he goes through all the key things you need to know about meat and human health, and even touches on the climate disaster thing. He covers everything in 15 minutes.
Our scavenging ancestors would go in after a carnivore killed another animal and get the leftovers. We get the most nutrient-dense part of that animal.
She is taking the nutrients in the grass and the nutrients in the sunlight and turning them into vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K.
It takes 100 years for land that's plowed one time for it to return to all the species that were there before the day it was plowed.
We've been eating meat, cheese, butter, eggs for all of human history. So how is it that we came to believe that these things are bad for us?
I think we've got everything backwards and that we're headed in the wrong direction. I'm presenting on why we should be including more animal foods in our diet, not less. Animal rights activists have taken over the conversation in the last 50 years and skewed the data and infected our culture into just assuming meat is bad for us and the planet without ever investigating if this is scientific fact. This is a story about humans and what we require to thrive, and how our environment has a perfect natural system that needs animal inputs and healthy soil. Humans, plants, animals, the soil, bacteria, we've all evolved together. You can't just take one out of the system. Yet somehow people these days think that that's the case and that we'd be better off by doing so. The main thing I want to leave you with today is that you've been deceived. Meat is not hurting the environment or your precious little insides. There's 3.5 million years of meat eating that made us human and continue to keep us healthy today. Let's see the evidence by going through a 6-step journey, beginning with how we evolved. This is what early humans were eating. These animals made up the majority of our diet. There was plenty of megafauna roaming the earth and all major continents. We could easily hunt these animals, and they provided us with a bounty of fatty meat. We know this from radioisotope nitrogen levels from early human remains. There's actually over 27 lines of evidence showing early humans were high trophic level carnivores, the top of the food chain. We use tools and our superior intellect to become the apex predator. This changed our digestive system. We evolved away from subsisting on low-quality plant foods and instead required highly nutrient-dense animal foods. We can't ferment large amounts of plant foods like our ancestors. Our small intestine got longer, where we extracted nutrition from meat, and the hindgut got shorter, where plant fermentation takes place. We're a completely different species now, requiring different nutrition. This data is from modern hunter-gatherers, which give us a window into our past. Although many giant animals died out, so we were forced to eat more plant foods. But as you can see, most societies are animal-based. Plants are a side dish, or something we ate when we couldn't get an animal. We study these societies and find that plants are fallback foods. So what happened? For all of history, we knew animals were the pillar of health. We lost our way. We had some bad theories and did some bad science. So we have foods we've been eating for all of history over here, and then we have an influx of highly processed foods. We then went through 70 years of blaming health problems on red meat. This is deception number 1. Processed foods, sugar, refined grains, and vegetable oils are the real problem, not meat. They have the most damaging health effects. So how did we get this wrong? We had a heart disease epidemic in the 50s and jumped to some conclusions. A guy named Ansel Keyes made some spurious correlation. There was another scientist named John Yudkin that had the correct theory, but Ansel Keyes won out. We'll skip this, it'll be covered in my film, but basically we made mistakes and wrongly demonized cholesterol and saturated fat, which opened the door to the processed food industry, low-fat products, and the fat is bad paradigm. This led to the food pyramid with a base of processed carbohydrates and a call to limit meat, eggs, butter, and especially red meat. And guess what happened? Our health rapidly deteriorated. Obesity and chronic disease took off, and people say, well, we didn't really follow the guidelines. Well, we did. We followed them well. Butter went down, eggs went down, red meat went down, grains and sugars skyrocketed. If meat is so bad for us, then why did all our health problems start as meat and animal fat declines? Nobody's talking about this side of things.